Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Badash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS, who as well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Ainal. The title of this video is People Are Talking About the Systems Leading Up to the M.O.T.B, which is the Mark of the Beast, right? And recently in the news, recently, in the news of Israel, concerning the Israelites, we have the major camp IUIC, the leader being Bishop Nathaniel, has brought, another breakdown basically of the M.O.T.B. And the scriptures, plainly say, you know, meddle not with those that are given to change, right? And this guy, Bishop Nathaniel, came up, with the One West, camps of the Israelites, which pretty much the truth sprung forth from the one camps, and they followed, the leadership line down to who we have now, the elder apostles of GMS, right? Starting with the elder apostle Har, right? So Bishop Nathaniel came from that, and basically he knew the truth, right? He also knew the names, the name Yahweh, which is the father's name, and the name Yahweh Shai, which is the son's name, right? And he knew the breakdown of the M.O.T.B and all of that. But we believe as a body that this individual, Bishop Nathaniel, sold out to Esau, even the so-called white man, right? And now he's waxing fat and worse because of the money that Esau has given him in his kingdom. So the scriptures say you cannot worship God and mammon. You're gonna hate one and love the other. So basically, as he got, we believe as he got more and more money, he fell further and further away from the truth. And now he's at the point where he's breaking down the scriptures wrong and leading the flock astray. But we, the hopeful elect, the men of GMS, starting with Elder Pastor on down, and those that follow the camp, and the doctrine, tell individuals to avoid these camps, right? And avoid the likes of Sakari, which scandals are coming out against Sakari. And then the camp that was broken off from Sakari, like Genesis. Genesis was with Sakari, and I guess they either left because of that scandal was about to come out, and they kind of figured that they want to separate themselves from it, whatever the case may be. Personally, I feel like maybe Esau broke them up for whatever reason. I don't know. That's just me. But they broke up. Nonetheless, their name now is called Genesis, and that scandal. That's not a camp you want to follow, right? They're only about the money. Then you got IUIC and the rest of them, right? They're not calling the names, or they don't have the truth, the M.O.T.B, or they're constantly changing, right? Or they're lovers of the world, doing things. They everything's on camera. Men want to show you their nipples on cameras. Every time they have a gathering in a parking lot, for some reason, it has to be on camera. They're eating chicken and drinking Kool-Aid and all of that. It has to be on camera, right? They got children and babies and all this stuff, and they just love the camera, and they love to show the sheep, how not to be, So it's camps you should avoid, right? So anyway, he broke it, which I'm not going to go into. He broke it down. He's constantly breaking it down wrong. It's always wrong, him and the M.O.T.B. So avoid the camp. Now, what I'm going to do is go into the M.O.T. and break it down correctly, right? So anyway, we have the title, which is what? It says people are talking about the system leading up to the M.O.T.B. See, so I'm not going to say the whole world, but majority of people, people are waking up to the fact of what was about to happen, right? Esau, was going to come down with great wrath and issue out this M.O.T.B. So we have here, it says Ron Paul, this is cryptogon.com, It says Ron Paul gets it, real idea is dangerous to liberty. It says, what is Christie no one doing? Real ideas tyrannical, authored by the same author of the Patriot Act. So basically they're going to go into it, and you really got to watch the whole video, which we're going to do. So who is Ron Paul? This is Ron Paul. It says Ronald Ernest Paul is an American author, activist, and politician who served as the U.S. representative for Texas 22nd Congressional District from 1976 to 1977, and again from 1979 to 1985, as well as for the Texas 4th Congressional District from 1997 to 2013, right? That's him, a little bit of him. You can look him up, see what he's about if you want to, whatnot. All right. Then it says, okay, what they use this word tyrannical. What does that mean? It says exercising power in a cruel or arbitrary way, right? And we'll get that draconian measures, right? Because that's what it's going into. Draconian measures, cruel, whatnot. It says dictatorial, oppressive, and this is that cruel Lord. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is pushing forward now in these last days the M.O.T.B. That's going to the Isaiah 19. You know, so that's what that means. Cruel, whatever. So this is the video here on X. I'll play it. Play the whole 4 minutes and 39 seconds. So if you want to skip, you can.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is turning into a real disappointment because this is one of a number of things that she's done that really kind of back up what you warned back when they created the department. It's going to be limiting our liberties, not anyone else's. We'll put on this first clip. This is from Newsmax, and they recognize. So Kristi Noem came out on Friday afternoon, and she said, "I got news for everyone."
All right. So I mean, basically, what they're talking about is Real ID. A new, I guess, there's a new thing called Real ID announcement receives wave of pushback on X. Whatever the case may be, and we'll get into it. We'll get into what's Real ID and whatnot, right?
Everyone, we are going to start enforcing Real ID, I think, as of May 1st. So Newsmax came out today. Real ID announcement receives wave of pushback on X, and which is good. And you go to the next one. Here's what Noem did Friday evening. Now that's when they always do something they don't want to have any, people noticing it. She announced a digital ID known as Real ID, which requires a high-resolution digital facial image, would be required by May 7th to fly. Starting May 7th, you will need a Real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the U.S., she said in a video on X. These IDs keep our country safe.
Right, yeah. So it says on Friday evening, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced that a digital ID known as a Real ID, which requires high resolution digital facial image, would be required by May 7th to fly and enter federal buildings. So this is something that's going to be required by May 7th to enter federal buildings, which, once we get into it, is basically the systems being put in place, because what they're going to say is, or when we look it up, it's going to talk about a star on your ID, and basically I have that star on my ID right now, which is your driver's license. And what they're saying that is linked to is that I have basically a digital account already, right? I have a digital ID that's set in place. And basically what's going to happen is when they're ready to implement this M.O.T.B in this digital system, everyone, for the most part, will be already ready to transition to that because you need the ID, and they're making you get this. Well, they're saying that you have to fly, and other people fly, so a lot of people go ahead and get it. But basically, I didn't request this. All I did was renew my ID. I actually renewed it in 2023, and when I renewed it, they gave me the star on there without, I didn't know what it was until now, or something. I actually think I had an incident or something. It was something crazy that I was thinking about the star or whatever when I was working. Now I remember. But anyway, so I didn't know what the star was, but I have the star, so that means I have the digital account already, which I didn't set that up. They did that, that through the slyness of Esau Edom. So anyway, let's listen.
Safe because they help prevent fraud and they enhance security.
So I was reading this. So this is a digital system that they're implementing. It says starting May 7th, you will need a Real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the United States. So all federal workers, will get this system, or basically, like I was saying, you will go to the DMV and renew your license. Basically, that's all that will happen. You will renew your license, and it will set up for you already. And I don't think it's something you can deny. Like, oh, I don't want that. It says starting May 7th, you will need a Real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the United States. Noem said in a video posted on X, these IDs keep our country safe because they help prevent fraud and they enhance security, right? So, they come with this peace and safety, all of this, everything that they push forward regarding this new digital system is about security and safety, because they want you to feel secure and safe in taking it.
And as soon as she said that, a backlash ensued on X, including Dr. Paul, by our great friend, Thomas Massey. Go to the next one. Massey hit it right on the head. He called BS on Kristi Noem. He said, Real ID isn't needed, and it won't stop terrorists from hijacking planes. Most of the 9/11 hijackers held Saudi, UAE, Egyptian, or Lebanese passports. Real ID is a national standard and database of IDs that is primarily a tool for control of Americans. Trump shouldn't enforce it, he said.
Right. So, and like I was mentioning, Chris went to Isaiah 19, a cruel Lord will roll over the American people. And here in these last days, we, the body, the whole field, like believe that this cruel Lord is Donald J. Trump. Because he's coming down with great wrath. He's not listening to the his cabinet, members or the Senate or the judges, whatever the case may be. And he's just doing things, and that's why there's uproars to people too, because he's arresting people that shouldn't be arrested, and people are like, "What are you doing?" They're trying to stop it. They're trying to get the guy out of prison, or the case may be. And Trump is, basically not listening. So it says by Saturday, a Noam announcement prompted a response from Representative Thomas Massey. Right, real ID isn't needed and won't stop terrorists from hijacking. So they're divided. Right, they're divided on this also. Just the American people. You got different individuals, different ranks. Regarding the levels of authority. It says real ID isn't needed and won't stop terrorists from hijacking planes. Massey wrote most of the 9/11 hijackers held Saudi, UAE, Egyptian, or Lebanese passports. Right. So they got the 9/11 thing there. It says Real ID is a national standard and database of IDs that is primarily a tool for control of Americans. And yeah, it's going to be a tool, because they're gonna be able to control you with this device, right? And people are seeing it, So that's why the scriptures say in Job, when he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast down on him the fury of, rain down on him his fury, because and also it says that every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. These people are aware of what's happening. Right. Then it says Trump shouldn't enforce it. It says in 2005, President George W. Bush signed the Real ID Act into law. It was authored by Representative James, the same author of the Patriot Act. Right. So anyway, so this is something they had in motion. And I have another video which we're going to get because it's all about gradualism. These things were put in place.
2005.
Prescribed.
President George W. Bush, now here's the kicker, you remember this, Dr. Paul, signed the Real ID Act into law. It was authored by Representative James Sensenbrenner, the same author of the Patriot Act. You remember those times. Sensenbrenner was going nuts writing all these bills.
Yes, and they portrayed him as a great civil libertarian and working for our privacy. That's the most insulting thing is what Noam said. It was issued to make us safe.
Yeah.
They always turn it and twist it around. It's sort of like, we need the Federal Reserve so nobody ever counterfeits money.
Yeah.
We want the monopoly.
Exactly.
And this is what this is, monopoly over control. I'm not very happy with the direction we're going right now. It looks like we're going to lose a lot more privacy if this bill gets reopened and made much worse. And it looks like it can do a lot more damage yet to come.
Yeah, it's been sitting around. It passed in 2005. It's just been sitting around. No one's done anything to it. No one has really enforced it. Now, all of a sudden, Christine Nolan wakes up and says, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and enforce this, And so let's go to a little bit more from the Newsmax article. Now, the criticism is not coming from the left, it doesn't seem primarily. Thankfully, it's a lot on the right. Thankfully, someone is carrying the banner that you carried 20 years ago, and that someone is Thomas Massey. Now, he came out with a bunch of posts on X when Christine Nolan made her dumb announcement. And I've just picked out a couple of the better ones. Now, people find this radical, but think about it. He says, as long as the pilot's door is locked and no one has weapons, why do you care that someone who flies has government permission? Real ID provides no benefit, yet presents a serious risk to freedom. If a person can't be trusted to fly without weapons, why are they roaming free? Very good point. And here's another one where he explains it to people who don't get it. They don't understand what Real ID is. He says, Real ID isn't a database. It's proof that your physical person matches an entry in the digital database.
All right, so I'm gonna read this and I guess he'll read it again. But this is the point when I was like, oh, okay. It says Real ID isn't a database, which it is a database. then he says it's a database. It says it's proof that your physical person matches an entry in the digital database. So this is something like, we always do videos about this. You have even these JWOs in the land of Israel right now. They separated, the Palestinians and they put them in a corridor or whatever, and then they have these apps where they track people. And basically what they can do is take a picture of you or a high resolution image of you, and then it goes back to a digital database to determine whether you're good or bad. So this is being implemented all over the world. And what we're going to get with this Real ID, they're going to talk about Real ID compliant. They have something called M.O.T.B compliant. All these go back to the M.O.T.B system, and Esau Edom is pushing it out. It says its power and purpose will be realized when everyone complies, but not before. So basically, what this guy Thomas is saying is that people won't realize what it is until it's too late, pretty much. It says this is a responsive, this is responsive to, I didn't give them much information. I've had one for years. Why worry?
Database. Its power and purpose will be realized when everyone complies, but not before. This is responsive to the I didn't give them much information. I've had one for years. Why worry argument he makes. So it's not essentially a database in itself. It is the relationship between that card that you hold and the database that exists already.
So there's a database that exists already, and this is why they're pushing. They say what by May 7th, if you want to fly, you need to have this thing, which, like I said, we'll get the next. And that's the same way they can push anything. You need this M.O.T.B to eat. You need this M.O.T.B to drive your Tesla or whatever the case may be.
And they can add to it. Remember, we talked about they can add anything they want: vax records, gun records, civil liberties, First Amendment records. Anything can be added to it. Homeland Security.
So he said anything can be added to this digital database, this digital system. And then guess what? All that's going to fit neatly into the palm of your hand or on your forehead into a M.O.T.B chip, right? It's a physical thing that they're talking about here, right? And they're setting the groundwork for it now. This is not a fake false image of Jesus Christ, right? It's not little kingdoms and small kingdoms. It's not whatever else all these other individuals are telling you. It's all lies, right? This is the truth right here. So real ID, it says a real ID is a state issued driver's license or identification card that meets federal security standards. And once again, so they made it look all nice and neat, but basically I got this ID, in 2023, which is I just renewed my driver's license, and all they did was put a shiny star at the right hand corner of it. Mine is gold. Some of them are different colors. Mine is gold. So I got a gold star at the right corner of it, and now I'm good, to basically fly on the plane. It says a real ID, but there's a database. It says the real ID is a state issued driver license or identification card that meets federal security standards as required by the Real ID Act of 2005. Starting May 7, 2025, real IDs or other federal approved identifications will be required for boarding domestic flights and accessing certain federal facilities. And a lot of people fly, right? People want to get a break from America because it's trash, The scriptures say when the wicked bear rule, people mourn, right? So people are not happy to be here right now, right? And even with what Trump is doing in office, firing everybody, causing prices to go up, putting tariffs on China, and everything basically in America is made in China or shipped, whatever the case may be. It's not made here, so everything we buy is going to cost more. And it's certain things. If this continues, we won't be able to get, like car parts or whatever the case may be. These hyenas won't be able to get their wigs from China no more. They'll eventually run out. The water, that's good. Anyway, it says, continuing. Here's a more detailed explanation. Purpose. The Real ID Act established minimum security standards for state-issued driver's license and IDs to prevent fraudulent identification. And this is just peace and safety. It's all bullshit. They don't really care about this. They want fraudulent stuff to happen so they can issue in that order out of the chaos that they basically allowed to happen, And now this solution is a trap, right? It says the Transportation Security Administration will enforce Real ID requirements at airport security checkpoints, and federal agencies will require Real ID compliant ID. See, Real ID compliant. They got something called M.O.T.B compliant, which also goes to that M.O.T.B system, right? The digital system they're trying to set up, which they will set up. It says Real ID compliant IDs for admission to certain federal facilities. Real IDs have a gold. It says Real IDs have a gold or black star in the upper right corner, indicating that they meet federal security standards. Regular IDs may not be compliant. See, so you might look at your ID right now, and you might have a gold star too because you renewed it, for whatever reason. You didn't even know, but now you know. All right. It says U.S. passports and other federal approved identifications like U.S. passports, U.S. passport card, or military ID are acceptable alternatives to Real IDs for domestic flights and access to. So it's an alternative. So that means that means that a U.S. passport also is backed by a digital database, or a military ID is backed by a digital database. I heard a lot of those people might have the M.O.T.B already. It says, starting May 7, 2025, you will need a Real ID or other accepted form of ID to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities, right? It says you can obtain a Real ID by visiting your state's Department of Motor Vehicle vehicles, DMV. So they'd be pretty packed. You know, people need that by May 7th, or you need it to fly, you know, and some people might even know, you know, they don't even know because it's something they're trying to just, you know, brush under, sweep under, get it all set up, and then bomb, Jacob Trouble. So anyway, got this video right here, and this lady goes into the gradualism. To be honest, I watched a few parts of it. It seems, you know, like it's interesting, but it was posted a year ago. This information I just gave you was posted like 2 days ago or whatever. It's April 14, 2025, right? This was posted a year ago. I'll play it from right here, and I'll get some precepts on the M.O.T.B. and, you know, translate all of this into scripture.
And how long will it be until he goes ahead with the rest of the plan?
All right. See.
And we just have to have.
All right, so she basically is saying it's gradualism. She's saying it doesn't matter who's in office, who does what, you know, what happens. They all lead to the end, which is the M.O.T.B. That's what she's going into. So she said, you know what, Trump was in office, he got impeached. Trump was trying to build the wall, then Biden got in there, and then, you know, we thought it was going to be different, and then Biden started talking about building a wall, you know, so she's saying it's all the same.
Does that even make sense to you? And how long will it be until he goes ahead with the rest of the plan? And we just have to have the biometric entry exit tracking system and the digital IDs to go along with that, and really just finish what Trump and Obama and Bush and Clinton were all working on. Because this whole thing is a one-way street, guys. I mean, I know that there are lots of people who like to really get partisan and take sides and act like they're all bought into that and stuff, but I'm not ever going to do that either. So I've not done it this whole time, and I won't be doing it in the future. This is a one-way road, and it doesn't matter which side of the carpet the person at the front of the teleprompter is on. It really doesn't, though, because like when it comes to the overarching situation, that thing doesn't change. The stuff they're doing with that does not really change all that much. Window dressing, if anything. So this is a one-way street. It goes one way. I don't know who's going to vote their way off of that road. It's only going to one. It's like a one-way road that goes in one direction only. And that one thing, that one direction right now is locking the world down. They're locking everything down. It may be digitally, but it's getting locked down. That's what they're doing, and it's awful. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in a world where the border crossings in this country in particular have been the worst border crossings of any border. I have crossed borders in multiple different foreign countries. And I'm not just talking.
All right, you know, so she goes into it. She said she don't want to live in that digital world, right? That tracking world. So this is everything that I just mentioned. We're here in Revelation chapter 13. We're going to start at verse 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right. So this beast is the American system, right? This is the revived Roman Empire, right? And it said it had two horns like a lamb. These two horns go into its two parties, like she was mentioning. You have the Democrats and you have the Republicans. Back in the ancient world in the Roman Empire, you had the patricians and the plebeians, right? So it's the same thing, right? This is Rome back all over again, America. It says, and he spake as a dragon. You know, so what is that dragon? That goes into the draconian measures, right? The harsh degrees, or like they said, tyrannical. You know, exercising power in a cruel or arbitrary way, right? So let me get this Psalms 55. All right, this is Psalm 55 and 20. Now start at 20. Yeah, it says, he have put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. All right, this is going to Esau, Edom. The point here in 21, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, right? So these draconian measures that's going to come with this system that they have, you know, right, which people are now calling tyrannical, is the part where it says, and he spake as a dragon, right? It goes into the draconian measures, like this M.O.T.B and harsh judgments that's coming to pass, right? And this cruel Lord, Donald Trump, right? And that's why it says the words of his mouth were smooth than butter, but war was in his heart, because he's coming with peace and safety, trying to issue out this digital system. But what really is for control, is to undermine you, because once it's all set in place and everyone is chipped up and he's fully in his new world order, which he won't be able to get fully in there, but we're just hypothetically thinking, he will be able to control you to the point where he can shut you out of society and kill you, allow you not to eat, not to go nowhere, not to fly nowhere, right? Verse 12 in Revelations 13 says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. So what does that mean? He exercises all the power of the first beast before him. So just as Rome did, he's doing now. It says, and he calls it the earth, and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose daily wound was healed. So what? This is going to what? Real ID compliant. You have to worship this system. Real ID compliant, like I mentioned before, M.O.T.B compliant. That's something you can search up. And this is things that he prescribed, right? This was what issued out, and they said Bush signed this thing back in 2005, right? This is Psalms 94 and 20, or let me do Isaiah 10 and 1. Isaiah 10 and 1 says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Woe means the destruction, and Babylon the Great will be destroyed. These Esau, Edom will be destroyed, right? Because they have prescribed these things that they're now bringing out at the end, basically, because the scriptures say and it's prophesied that what we're reading right now, that he will bring this M.O.T.B, right? And then, pretty much after that, when they're about to fill their belly, going to that Job 20, they're going to be destroyed in the midst of this whole system, right? So Isaiah 10 and 1, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness, which they have prescribed. Right, this is Psalms 94 and 20. It says Psalms 94 and 20. I get the NLT. It says, can unjust leaders claim that Yahweh is on their side? Leaders whose decrees permit injustice, right? Yeah, it's an injustice to try to, issue forth out this M.O.T.B. Let me grab that in a KJV 2. It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law, right? So they frame mischief by law. So they're trying to make it a law to, have this M.O.T.B system, but it's mischief because they're doing it for, to control, right? And basically to kill, right? People that they disagree with, they don't like, it's easy to just shut you out of a digital world, Just like when you try to go on your computer and you have no Wi-Fi, you can't do nothing on the computer. You might have got a business on the computer. You want to go watch, some videos, just play a game or something. You can't do nothing with no Wi-Fi, right? Same way, how the M.O.T.B will shut you out. So back to Revelations 13 and 13, it says, and he doeth great wonders so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth and inside of men. So America did drop the nuclear missiles first, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? It says, verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that he should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. So this is the Roman Empire that fell, that had a wound but did live. So the Roman Empire is back, that being America, right? And they're going to what? Their new world order. This is the image that they're making here. It says, saying to them that dwell on earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. So this image is what? This like the elder brother Amon Gabar went in today, that image goes into likeness, a likeness to the Roman Empire. And what did the Roman Empire do? They branded their slaves, So this is what they're coming with this M.O.T.B system, right? This new world order digital system. Let me see, grab this real quick. So this is Daniel 8 and 25. It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. See, so the policy goes into his laws, right? This M.O.T.B compliant, this real ID compliant. This is the policy, and he's going to cause it to prosper. It's been prospering. Every law and decree that he has made since his beginning has caused him to prosper in his way. But now he's entering to the end where he's about to do that last trump, which is try to enslave the whole world through this system. Literally, that's exactly what he's trying to do. Control the whole world through this system. So Daniel 8:25, it says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, he shall magnify himself in his heart. Excuse me. It says, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So by peace shall destroy many. Just by saying, yeah, it's good for you. This system will be good for you. It's safer and all of that. But at the same time, he's able to cut you off and kill you, basically. You know, and he's gonna come against our Lord Yahushua, on Yahushua's return. That's why we have Trump building or had built the space force, right? Because they're preparing for the return of our Lord Yahushua, and they're gonna be destroyed when he returns. And that's with the water, right? It says verse 15 in the Revelation 13, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's what we're going into, right? And I'm gonna have to pull this up to get these words for you. So I read it here again. It says, and he had power, Revelation 13 and 15, he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. So Esau has the power to give life unto this image of the beast. Why? Because he's in power seat. He runs the world. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? So Esau Edom is ruling. Esau Edom is the wicked. Everyone could clearly know and understand that. You got any type of sense, you know. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So he's gonna make it happen, right? That's how this image is gonna be speaking, right? It's gonna come to fruition, basically, to a certain extent, to a certain point, right? And at the same time, if you're not dealing with it, he's able to cut you off, off from society, you know. It says in verse 16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Now, this is the point, this is a part of the point. It says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. This is everybody to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And this mark is what? The charagma, right? This is something physical. We'll read it here. See? Simple, charagma. It says a stamp and imprinted mark. Of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. So it's going back to the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, what they branded, their peoples, their slaves, and that's what Esau Edom, the revised Roman Empire, is trying to do to you today. He's trying to brand you and make you a slave by putting a digital device into your skin, and now with that digital device is gonna have everything that you own on that, your medical information, basically your whole life. You're gonna need to open doors. You're gonna need to go open the doors at the grocery store, right? You're gonna need to probably get gas from the gas pump to open your car door if you got a Tesla. They're gonna make shit digital, right? You're gonna need it for everything. He's gonna be able to cut it off and make it malfunction, when he wants it to, right? It says the mark branded upon horses, stained, carved, sculpture, graven, work of of idolatrous image, scratch or etching, stamp, engraving, mark, physical thing, right? It's nothing small cities, big cities. It's not an image of actual fake Jesus Christ, right? It's none of that. It's none of that. If you believe it, you're being deceived. So verse 17, it says, and that no man might buy or sell. So with this mark, like I just described, you needed to buy or sell with this mark. So you're gonna need it to pump your gas to get the groceries. It says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. It says, here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 603 So it's the same thing. This goes into that mark. You get this 603 down here, it goes into chi psi stigma, right? And this goes into the X symbol right here, the E symbol, and the C. So you have the X, basically X out Yahushai. This E, goes in, the E symbol goes into their wisdom. They have, the scripture say that they are wiser than Daniel's, right? And then the C, which is a stigma, chi psi stigma, right? And it says, where are we at right here? Well, actually, I'm gonna get the word stigma, right? So I broke that down. Let me grab this Galatians so you can see. Or did I show it to you? Stigma. See, here you go.
Strong's G 5516. Chi, Xi, stigma. Chi, Xi, stigma.
Right. So now let's get that stigma. This is Galatians 6 and 17. It says, "From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushua." Let's get this word marks here. You go to the same word, stigma. Stigma, it says a mark pricked, or I say a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient or Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or prick cut into their bodies. And that's what they have to do. They have to cut and prick into your body and brand their mark into you. This M.O.T.B system. It says into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. So Esau's trying to make you belong to him and take you away from the Father, which is prophesied. If you take this, you'll be destroyed. It says, and there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way, the token of their gods. See, it's plain and put, is really simple, and that's what it is. All right, that's the mark. It's a physical thing, right? Let me grab Revelations 4, I believe it is, and 9. 14. So Revelations 14 and 9, it says doom for the worshipers of the beast. So if you follow Esau Edom, you go to this man for help, you take his M.O.T.B system when he issues it out, because what? He's going to issue out this digital device, which is the physical thing, when there is a time of trouble. He's gradually leading up to that point. He's going to cause a lot of chaos in the world, and he's going to try to bring in the order, which is this M.O.T.B system, right? And if you take it, you're going to be destroyed. Doom for worshippers of the beast. Revelations 14:9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. It says, and the smoke of their torment descended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever received the mark of his name. Right? So it's not talking about eternally burning in hell forever, right? It's just a period of time where you will be destroyed. And on top of that, not only will you be destroyed with the nuclear destruction that's coming, you will have a cancer, right? And you're going to be in agonizing pain, right? Lord willing, that if you take this and you disobey the Lord, you're in agonizing pain. Because why? You're of them that's was basically back in the old days talking about free Barabbas. This is Revelation 16 and 1. It says, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Yahweh upon the earth. Verse 2 says, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had men and women and child, all of you. It says, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. See? So this noisome and grievous sore is it's a cancer. Let me see something. It's a cancer, right? So it says a euchre, a wound producing a discharged pus, a sore, right? You're gonna be destroyed. You take this thing. You're gonna be in agonizing pain when the nuclear missiles hit. You know how when the nuclear missiles hit and it's like a shadow of light and then smoke. So you gonna feel that before the actual heat. All right. So you got some stuff right there. You want to read that? It's a cancer. And go back. What they say. troublesome, injurious, destructive. Yeah, so this is a cancer that you're going to receive for taking that thing. You know, it's heavily radiated, or whatever the case may be. People got breast, the women, or whatever the case may be, got breast cancer and things like that. I wouldn't want that on none of my women. So don't take this M.O.T.B system. You get a cancer, then you get destroyed. You don't see salvation. Lord willing, you're edified from the lesson. I'll say shalom to those elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.